Mark stood frozen as a harsh new sign slapped cold reality in his face. No police or military working dogs allowed. His loyal partner Rex, once a battlefield hero, was now banned from the only place they found peace. The community was divided, tensions rising, but what happened next will shock even those who thought they'd seen everything. But first, let's go back to the beginning. Mark Reynolds stood at the edge of the dog park, eyes fixed on the stark white sign freshly nailed to the entrance gate. No police or military working dogs allowed. The letters were bold, unmistakable, and they pierced him like cold steel. For 20 years, Mark had lived alongside Rex, his steadfast partner through countless missions, bomb detections in hostile environments, tense patrols in war zones where every second teetered between life and death. Now, in this quiet town, this park was supposed to be their refuge, a place where they could simply exist without the weight of service pressing on their shoulders. But the sign made it clear. Rex was no longer welcome. The city council's new ordinance was wrapped in bureaucratic language, liability concerns, public safety measures, but it didn't mask the sting of exclusion. Mark's mind raced, replaying the countless mornings he and Rex had spent here. The soft grass beneath Rex's paws, the gentle exchange of trust in every glance, the freedom to walk without the ghosts of war trailing behind. It wasn't just a park, it was the fragile thread holding together the fragile peace Mark had sought since retirement. He met Linda Carver's eyes that morning. As the park's director, she was the face of the decision, the voice explaining the ban. "We've had incidents," she said, her tone measured but distant. "Several dogs, unrelated to military or police, have attacked others. The council decided it was safer to err on the side of caution." Her words were careful, rehearsed almost, but the empathy Mark longed for was absent. "We're not targeting veterans or K-9 units," she insisted, but the coldness lingered between them like frost. Mark knew the town wasn't wrong to want safety. He understood fear. He had seen it in the eyes of strangers and comrades alike. But Rex wasn't a danger. He was a symbol of sacrifice, discipline, and unwavering loyalty. The same dog that had sniffed out explosives under fire was now labeled a liability. It was a bitter irony that cut deep. Around him, whispers floated through the park's edges, neighbors divided by the ordinance. Some echoed Linda's reasoning, voices tinged with worry about dangerous dogs and liability lawsuits. Others stood quietly with Mark, sharing looks that spoke of shared respect and sorrow. Among them were veterans who understood all too well what this ban represented, a dismissal not just of a dog, but of the bond between a man and his partner forged in fire and blood. The park's once familiar rhythm was fractured. Mark's routine, a daily anchor in a world that often felt unmoored, was abruptly severed. The park wasn't just a place for exercise or play, it was part of his healing process, a space where the noise of past wars dulled beneath the rustle of trees and the gentle panting of a loyal dog. Now, each morning's walk was replaced by an ache of absence, a gnawing void where hope once lived. In the weeks following the ban, Mark spent long hours sitting outside the park's fence, watching other dogs run free while Rex lay quietly by his side, eyes clouded with confusion and quiet pain. The bond they shared, tested through danger, forged in the heat of battle, felt abruptly unrecognized by the very community they had sworn to protect. The silent judgment in the eyes of strangers, the exclusion from a place that once felt like home, it all accumulated into a weight that Mark carried with a soldier's stoicism, but a man's heartbreak. He understood Linda's duty, the council's pressures, the fears driving their decisions. But understanding did not soften the blow. The ban shattered a sanctuary, fractured a healing process, and cast a shadow over a bond that deserved honor, not rejection. For Mark, this wasn't just about a park. It was about respect, recognition, and the painful truth that even heroes could be sidelined once the uniform was hung up. And so, with every step away from the gate, Mark felt the heavy cost of a community's choice, a cost paid in silence, in lost moments, in the quiet grief of a soldier and his faithful companion left on the outside, looking in. The air in the town thickened with tension as Mark Reynolds refused to yield, his frustration simmering beneath a veneer of composed determination. The ordinance barring Rex from the dog park had not only severed a ritual, but had ignited a firestorm of deep-rooted emotions, pride, anger, and a yearning for justice that echoed beyond a simple municipal decree. Mark's efforts became relentless. Letter after letter penned to city council members, each carefully detailing Rex's decades of service, the lives the dog had saved, the missions where danger lurked but never struck because of his vigilance. These letters were not just appeals. They were testament, each word steeped in the weight of sacrifice. Beyond paperwork, Mark took to the streets, organizing small but resolute rallies. Veterans, neighbors, and advocates gathered beneath banners emblazoned with Rex's image, an emblem of loyalty and courage tarnished unfairly by fear and misunderstanding. Their chants rippled through the town's veins, weaving a narrative of honor confronting bureaucracy. The park, once a place of solace, morphed into a contested battleground, its fences demarcating more than physical boundaries but ideological divides. Amid the growing unrest, local leaders were forced into uncomfortable reckonings. Police Chief David Morgan had long maintained a neutral stance, wary of entangling the department in a politicized dispute that risked alienating factions within the community. He had heard the arguments, concerns about liability, the need for safety, the town's fractured trust, but had yet to witness the human element behind the headlines. That changed the day Mark arrived at a city council meeting, Rex by his side, their presence a silent yet powerful statement. Rex, aging yet composed, sat calmly beside his partner as the council chamber buzzed with murmurs of quiet outrage and curiosity. Mark's steady voice cut through the tension as he recounted the bond forged through shared sacrifice, the countless hours of training and peril that defined their service. The room, often cold and procedural, felt the palpable weight of history and humanity. Chief Morgan observed closely the veteran's unwavering dignity, the dog's serene strength, and something shifted within him. This was no mere pet excluded on a whim. This was a living legacy dismissed unjustly. In a move that surprised many and unsettled others, Chief Morgan announced that the upcoming Police Academy graduation ceremony would be held at the very dog park that had become a symbol of exclusion. His declaration was both a tribute and a statement, an official recognition of K-9 unit's invaluable contributions and an implicit rebuke of the ban that had sparked so much division. The decision sent shockwaves through the council chambers and rippled into the community. Linda Carver, the park director and a staunch defender of the ban, was blindsided, caught between protocol and public opinion. The announcement fractured public opinion anew. Supporters of Mark viewed it as a turning tide, a beacon of hope that the sacrifices of veterans and their K-9 partners would finally be honored publicly. They organized renewed campaigns, amplifying calls for respect and inclusion, framing the graduation event as a symbol of healing and recognition. Opponents countered with apprehension, claiming the police ceremony complicated matters, fearing it would transform the park into a political stage rather than a safe recreational space. Yet the momentum was undeniable. For Mark, the announcement was more than just symbolic. It represented a crack in the walls of bureaucracy, a moment when the weight of truth began to erode the fortress of exclusion. It stirred in the community a deeper conversation, not merely about dogs in a park, but about values, honor, and the price of recognition. The fight had moved beyond protest signs and council meetings. It had reached into the hearts of those who watched quietly from the sidelines, inviting them to reconsider what justice truly meant for a veteran and his lifelong companion. As the streets hummed with debate and anticipation, the park stood as a contested emblem of both conflict and hope. Its gates a threshold between the past wounds of exclusion and the possibility of a restored bond, one that might yet heal not only Mark and Rex, but a community grappling with its own conscience. The morning air was crisp, charged with a quiet electricity that threaded through the crowd assembling in the dog park, no longer merely a patch of grass and worn paths, but a stage set for redemption. Banners fluttered, emblazoned with emblems of service and community, while the scent of fresh-cut grass mingled with the subtle aroma of blooming dogwoods. The usual sounds of joyful barking and casual chatter gave way to a solemn rhythm as uniformed officers marched in formation, their polished boots clicking steadily against the pavement. Families lined the perimeter, faces etched with anticipation and reverence, holding children whose wide eyes mirrored the gravity of the moment. At the heart of it all stood Mark Reynolds, a figure marked by years of discipline and sacrifice, his weathered hands steady despite the surge of emotion tightening his throat. Beside him, Rex bore a medal gleaming in the soft sunlight, a tangible symbol of honor pinned proudly to his collar, catching the gaze of every onlooker. The old German shepherd's eyes, wise and calm, reflected a journey etched in loyalty and unspoken trust. Together, they were more than veteran and dog. They were living proof of a bond forged in the crucible of service, tested by time and trial, now illuminated in a public moment of reckoning. Chief David Morgan stepped forward to address the gathering, his voice resonant with conviction and respect. He spoke not only of duty and sacrifice, but of the invisible threads that tie veterans to their K-9 partners, threads woven through shared danger, silent understanding, and unwavering companionship. His words carved through the tension that had once divided the town, weaving a tapestry of acknowledgement that demanded recognition. He articulated the profound impact these partnerships have beyond the battlefield, where healing and hope are equally vital. His speech transcended ceremony, becoming a bridge between a fractured past and a hopeful future. From the sidelines, Linda Carver observed quietly, her arms crossed, her expression guarded, but undeniably altered. The overwhelming support pouring from the crowd, the sincere applause, the sight of Mark and Rex embraced by a community once reluctant, all confronted her with the consequences of the band she had once defended. It was a silent reckoning, an unspoken admission that fear and bureaucracy had blinded a vital truth. Honor deserved acknowledgement, not exclusion. As the ceremony drew to a close, a palpable shift rippled through the assembly. The city council representative took the stage, delivering an announcement that settled over the park like a benediction. The ban on police and military working dogs would be lifted permanently. In its place, a set of carefully crafted safety guidelines would be instituted, guidelines developed in collaboration with veterans, animal behavior experts, and community leaders. This was not a concession begrudgingly given, but a deliberate step toward healing and inclusion, ensuring that the park would remain a safe, welcoming space for all who served, human and canine alike. The transformation of the park was emblematic, a microcosm of justice realized through persistence, community dialogue, and mutual respect. Mark's fight had carved a painful path, fraught with moments of doubt and isolation, yet its outcome resonated far beyond his personal victory. It was a testament to the enduring value of service and the power of perseverance against systemic barriers. For every veteran whose sacrifice extended beyond distant battlefields into everyday struggles for dignity and recognition, this day marked a profound triumph. As applause swelled, echoing beneath the canopy of springtime trees, Mark leaned close to Rex, his voice a hushed whisper carrying the weight of relief and belonging. "We're finally home." The words lingered in the air, a quiet declaration that transcended the ceremony. A promise etched in the heart of a veteran and his steadfast companion, united at last within a community that had come to understand the true meaning of honor.